MG151/15 cannon is a 15 mm caliber autocannon developed by the Mauser factory in 1940. The 1941 variant of this autocannon, the MG151 20 mm cannon, was widely used as the main weapon in various fighter aircraft, fighter bombers, night fighters, attack aircraft, and bombers of the Nazi German Luftwaffe during World War II. The Italian Air Force also mounted the MG151 20 cannon on its 5 Series fighter aircraft during the war. The German Luftwaffe, LW, found that the firepower of their machine guns, until the use of the 13 mm MG131 heavy machine gun, was comparable to the performance of the 12.7 mm Browning M2 heavy machine gun widely used by the United States Air Force, USAF. As the war progressed, the US increased their firepower by adding more .50 caliber machine guns, going from 2 to 4 to 6, and even some versions of the P-47 fighter plane mounted 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Due to a shortage of metal resources, Germany sought to enhance firepower not by increasing the caliber of their machine guns, but by using high-explosive rounds, while maintaining a basic number of 3 main guns, cannons, with German inline-engine propeller fighters continuing to add a main cannon inside the hollow main shaft of the engine. By the end of the war, the jet-powered Me-262 had 4 to 6 mg 151/20 as its main weapon, or alternatively could be armed with 2 to 4 30 mm Malawian Quachas 108s, or 2 30 mm high-velocity Mk103s as its main weapon. Initially, the MG151-15 machine gun was installed as the main weapon on the Bf-109F2. Due to the large size of the ammunition, a 15 mm high-explosive round was developed. However, at that time, a high-explosive round was first forged from a steel blank and then subjected to lathe machining. Due to the limited volume of the projectile and overly complex processing, the increase in power compared to the 15 mm kinetic rounds was limited, and it could not be produced in large quantities. As fighter jets and bombers became larger, the Royal Air Force, RAF, decided, after careful consideration, to skip the 12.7 mm/13 mm/15 mm calibers and instead mass-produced the Hispano 20 mm cannon, developed from the Swiss Oerlikon FFS, for use on its Hurricanes and Spitfires. The MG151/15, even with its 2.8-gram charge of 15 mm high-explosive ammunition, began to show limitations, prompting Mauser to comprehensively improve the cannon and ammunition based on the MG151/15, resulting in the development of the MG151 20 cannon, which quickly became the standard configuration for the Bf-109F4 fighter. The position of the MG151 20 cannon was eventually replaced by the 30 mm -108 Malawian Quachas aircraft cannon from Rheinmetall, which continued to use the basic design of the Mauser high-explosive shells. As the MG151-15 machine gun had been widely equipped in the German Air Force, Mauser put in a lot of effort to upgrade the firepower. The MG151 20 cannon, with its low cost, rapidly gained popularity in the German Air Force by enhancing firepower while ensuring mass production of high-explosive shells. Although the high-explosive filling in the projectile caused a reduction in muzzle velocity, it proved worthwhile to trade initial velocity for greater explosive charge. When designing the geometric dimensions of the MG151/20 round, Mauser adopted a relatively simple process, only enlarging the cartridge neck of the MG151/15 to match the diameter of the 20 mm projectile, which is compatible with the MGFF cannon's projectile, and shortening the cartridge length so that both calibers achieved the same length. This simplification made the conversion of the MG151-15 to the MG151-20 easier, requiring only a change of barrel and slight adjustments, but it also resulted in a decrease of the muzzle velocity from 900 meters per second to 800 meters per second. However, compared to the MGFF, the muzzle velocity of the MG151 can still be considered significantly improved, enhancing its ballistic characteristics, accuracy, and range. Mauser also optimized the production process of 20 mm ammunition and did not use the bullet design from the MGFF. In manufacturing, the 20 by 82 mm Mauser round of the MG151-20 used the same high-explosive bullet manufacturing process as the later Mk108's 30 by 91 mm Mauser round. The bullet was no longer machined from metal, but instead was produced using high-strength steel through deep drawing into a thin-walled tube shape, with the explosive charge then pressed into the end of the tube at the same caliber as the gun barrel, incorporating a fuse with a front driving band. Therefore, the bullet had a conical cap and a round base, rather than the typical streamlined piston base. This process reduced the metal usage of the high-explosive bullet to 75 grams, only about half of the 130-gram kinetic bullet of the MGFF, while allowing for 18.6 grams of high-explosive or combustible material, which is 3 times the 6 grams of charge in the UK version of the Hispano 20mm high-explosive shell, significantly reducing manufacturing costs and increasing production efficiency. The new 20mm high-explosive/incendiary ammunition performed well in combat. According to statistics, except for heavy bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress and Lancaster, it generally takes an average of 18 to 20 hits from MG151/20mm rounds to bring down a 4-engine aircraft, while only 4 hits are needed to take down a single-engine fighter. For the B-17, it requires 25 hits to achieve a kill. As the new MG151/20mm version gradually entered service, by 1942, all MG151/15mm versions were upgraded to the 20mm version. However, as Allied bombers became larger, the 20mm Mauser rounds began to show signs of fatigue. Subsequently, the German Luftwaffe selected the 108 Malawian Quachas, a medium-pressure rapid-fire cannon among many new airborne weapons, capable of firing 650 rounds per minute, dispersing the 30mm high-explosive round known as Fliegerblitz/Meningescus, 330 grams with 85 grams of explosive, equivalent to half of the M24 wooden-handled grenade widely used and replicated in China, which balanced aerial combat and bombing interception, and was extensively adopted until the end of the war. The German Luftwaffe used Mauser high-explosive shells as their primary ammunition, while the British and Americans mainly used kinetic ammunition, and they configured their aircraft cannons close to the aircraft's axis, including 1 coaxial with the engine and 2 at the root of the wings, sometimes also adding 2 at the nose, firing through the propeller disc via a synchronizer, while the British and Americans positioned their machine guns and cannons outside the propeller disc, in the wings. The powerful and concentrated firepower became a weapon in the hands of ace pilots who brought down hundreds of enemy aircraft.